Welcome to another episode of Positive Solutions for Life. This is Peggy Meyer. Today's guest is Lynn Webb. Lynn, she's a powerhouse of experience, energy, and entrepreneurial spirit. With over 30 years in business, Lynn has worn many hats: entrepreneur, author, educator, and leader. From climbing the corporate ladder in senior management to launching and running multiple successful bookkeeping and accounting businesses since 2007, she knows the ins and outs of what makes a business thrive. A confessed workaholic turned workflow wizard, Lynn transformed her own hustle heavy habits into streamlined systems that brought clarity and sanity to her work life. Now she brings that same magic to her clients, helping them simplify, systemize, and supercharge their businesses through the power of smart bookkeeping. When Lynn speaks numbers, businesses listen and grow. So, welcome to the podcast, Lynn.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be chatting with your audience today.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you on and, converse with you. Numbers isn't always such a big thing, but we're going to go beyond that a little bit and seeing like how, you help businesses thrive. And I feel like that's such a good thing because a lot of it has to do with the business owners. So,
Mm.
but first, I want you to start the conversation by just sharing with the listeners just a little bit more about you, your journey, and how it has led to where you are today.
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a unique journey and I just want to take it like back and way back because I'm a bit of an old dog, so we'll just kind of go back. Numbers has always been my jam, business has always been my jam, and I went to school to be an accountant and I thought I cannot possibly do this for the rest of my life. But I was working in the corporate world at the same time and I was going to school part-time. And then I decided to switch gears and I became a computer programmer. So I was going to school for computer programming and I thought, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. But by then, so I left that world and, the had kids and got married and all that. And I went back to accounting. But by this time, I had owned my own firm already. And, we were doing really well. I had 15 employees, and, just all the jazz of a bookkeeping and accounting firm. And so I went back to school again for accounting, like to finish it up. But what I realized the second time was how much I loved about being in the trenches. That accounting when you go to school, I mean, it's boring. It's kind of dull as dust, right? I mean, you're whatever. And but the excitement really came from running the business and doing the business and figuring it out and all the challenges. And that's the part that I really love. So numbers is my jam. I do it really well. I happen to have this little piece of being a computer programmer, which serves me extremely well in life
Yeah.
today. But yeah, numbers is really my jam, but my passion and my love comes from running the business. Interestingly enough, when I had my company, which I sold that particular company after 10
Mhm.
years. So when you're doing that much business, you have hundreds of clients you see, and I saw all kinds of clients. And the very first thing that really stood out to me was the small businesses that we did business for.
Mhm.
They kind of got in trouble more, right, on the taxes, and they did everything wrong. And
Mhm.
it created such a soft spot in my heart for those small businesses. So most of what I do, although I can consult with larger ones, my passion and my love really comes in to the small guys who pay way too much in tax. They don't know the process. They kind of can't get their business off the ground. It's a struggle and they did
Mhm.
it for more freedom and that's
Yeah.
not the way it's working for them. So that's where my passion lies. So it's kind of the history that sort of led me there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my whole business is just around that, is about educating and teaching and doing the books and trying to get people steered in the right direction.
Oh, well, I can honor you because I love to work with those other aspects of our business. Being a small business owner myself and all of that, I honor those that like teach me. Like, don't just do it for me, but teach me what
Mhm.
I'm doing wrong because I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to run this, small business owners are just they're trying to do it all. And we're
They
really not
they
the
are.
expert of very much things. We have that passion, but especially with taxes.
Yeah, and let me be clear, right? For your entire audience,
Yeah.
it's not important that you do it, right? It's important that you understand. So you say like, I want to be taught, but there's some business owners that don't. I'll give you a really, really good example. Many years ago, I had a guy on our client list, and he did drywall for living on new home builds. And he would come in every 3 months and he would have a cookie jar, Santa Claus cookie jars. This is a total true story. And he would, in that cookie jar, he would toss everything in, and it was all his receipts, and they were crumpled. I mean, we got everything. And I would say to him every time, "You pay me so much money to sort this. Like, do you want me to teach you?" And he'd be like, "It is worth it. I can pay your bill, and in one day, I can go out there and make enough money to pay that off and more." Which, I mean, he's exactly right. He identified to what was the
Mhm.
right thing from him, and he was fine. He would pay us hundreds of dollars to be like sorting receipts out on the edge of a desk and getting that information, and he couldn't care less. It was not worth his time. So it's
Yeah.
okay to be either. You either want to be the person who wants to learn, or you want to be the person that doesn't, and both are absolutely a good position to be in.
Oh, yeah. Well, knowing what you want to do and what you don't want to do, or what you're good at and what you're not good at, and being honest with yourself about that
Yep.
is so key. For me, I want to understand the process. I'm like, I gotta understand. I'm like that person that needs to kind of see the bigger picture, like how that all works together. And then I decide, nope, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You do that. Like, I like, nope, I've done that. Nope, I don't want to do that. So those are
Yeah.
kind of those kind of things. So what do some of your clients come to you with? Like, what kind of, when you're looking at small business owners, like, what are some things that they're just like, I need help with this? What are some top issues?
Yeah, inevitably, people come to me and they ask one thing and they get another thing. So, lots of people come and they say, "I really need blank fixed," or "I don't know what I'm doing. Can you do your taxes?" And
Mhm,
I do a yearly course that's
mhm,
really with taxes twice a year. So I do get a lot of people that come to me through that because in 4 hours, they take this class and they hear and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know." And they
mhm,
are kind of eager to learn
mhm,
when they come through it, just even little things. Here's an example. This is such a crazy example, but this is true. So every tax year, and we've just gone through tax season,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Every tax year, we try to keep track of some really weird statistic. And this year, I kept track of how many people forgot their cell phone bill. Just forgot it. So they turned in their taxes. They said, "Voila, here, please do my taxes." And I had to ask them, "Hey, I'm missing your cell phone bill. Do you have that?" So 23%. Can you believe it?
Wow.
23% of my business clients didn't do it. So what they come for is often knowledge, and what they leave with is a very different story. But they want somebody that they can count on
Mhm,
to get them through it because it's confusing
mhm,
and they never know if they're doing enough. Not necessarily that people want to learn. We do get some of those too, but they want somebody to take care of them, to nurture them through the process, and to make sure that what they're paying in the end
mhm.
is a value, right?
Yeah, yeah. And just to circle back to that cell phones, like, why is that important? I mean, I kind of know the answer, but like,
Yeah.
see, people just forget something, like a cell phone bill. Why is that important?
Yeah. So can I get a little mathy in here
Sure,
for just a
sure,
second? Okay.
sure.
So for people to understand the biggest, we hear it all the time, the write-offs, right?
Mhm,
And the write-off says if you made $10,000 and you had write-offs of $2,000, then $8,000 is the remainder. And that $8,000 is the number that governments use to tax you.
mhm,
That's what they choose. So the more write-offs, you want 2,000 to be 25 or three, right? You want to get
right.
that higher. And that's where that's important is that little $2,000. The more write-offs you have, the less taxes you're going to pay. And your cell phone bill sneaks into that $2,000 category in it, right? I mean,
Mhm,
I don't know what you pay for a cell phone bill, but I can tell you for me, it's many
yeah,
hundreds of dollars a year.
right.
So that's going to bring my $2,000 of write-offs up to 2,500 or
Right.
$3,000,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
in essence, it lowers the value of the
Mhm,
amount of taxes you pay to the
yeah.
pay to the government. Yeah.
Right, because we use our cell phones for business, you know?
Yeah.
And so we
Yeah.
have to, that's our connection. And those can be those write-offs that, every little penny counts because I really, business owners, well, they should hopefully, are looking at their bottom line, looking at their cash flow is like
Yeah.
one of those things that they do. You know,
Yeah.
what, how do you help, enlighten them about that? Like, because it's not just about cash flow too, but it is on an accounting aspect and taxes.
Yeah, it absolutely. So there's two basic ways that we help people do it. One is through education specific to their situation. So you have somebody who does their taxes, let's say they are the drywaller, right?
Hmm.
Versus somebody who's a massage therapist. Those are two entirely different things.
Hmm.
And what they can write off can often be very different. And what they hear, right, from the big bad world out there, what they
Yeah.
hear, what they see on Google is also very different. So they get this idea in their head, which isn't always the right idea.
Hmm.
So one of the things that we do is customize it. So I have a conversation with everybody. What can you write off? And I think about if I were a drywaller, what would I be able to do? So we talk about the vehicle and the fuel and,
Hmm.
all of that stuff, right?
Right. Right.
And then if I was a massage therapist, like what
Yeah.
would I do? And I think about it, and then we just have that individual discussion. And
Hmm.
every file we look at, we're making sure, do you have this information in?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that is kind of number one. That's really
Yeah.
people super appreciative of that.
Hmm.
But the other one that I think way more bookkeeping firms should do this. Let's say you have one of the software programs that are out there that you're doing and you really truly want to learn, and technology can absolutely save your
Oh, yeah.
time in bookkeeping and your sanity as
Oh,
a business
yes.
owner.
Yes. Yeah.
Fully, it can save it. But if you do it wrong, then it goes wrong. So we do this video series, and I totally think more organizations should do it. So we'll charge a small fee. We will go on to your software program and we teach you how to do it. And we
Mhm.
say, this is what I want you to do. I want you to do this step and
Mhm.
only this step. But sometimes I'll say to people, I want you to go here and they're watching the video, and I want you to allocate this to fuel every time you go to a Chevron or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're saying this is fuel. So they do that one step and they're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
So those are kind of two things that really
Mhm.
um, that really work for business owners, right? Like
Yeah.
getting that advice, and
Right.
then yeah, and then getting the videos as well.
Yeah, and I see myself in that because I'm just like, just show me, like, yeah, give
Yeah,
me a video, like, tell me what I'm doing here because I've screwed things up so much.
yeah,
I
yeah,
have an online, program that I use to kind of help
yeah,
get it into a system and try to streamline it and organize it. So, but I screw it up, and then they
yeah,
have to like fix it,
yeah.
like, give
So
me
many
little
people
tidbits.
do.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, if somebody is getting audited and they come to me and they tell, and I always say, like, how did you get your books done? And they say, oh, I did it myself
Mhm.
using X software.
Mhm.
I immediately double the price that I'm going to give them in my brain. Right. And I say, like, that is going to be if I was to say that's going to be $500, then all of a sudden I tell them right off the get-go it's going to be $1,000 because I know what that's going to look like.
Mhm.
You're not alone in terms of, what if I mess it up? But you can fix it. It like bookkeeping's expensive.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And the stress to business
Oh,
owners is
yeah.
unbelievable,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. I mean, if I'm a business owner and I don't like numbers and I don't like tracking those things,
Yeah,
that is so much stress by
so
doing it
much.
myself because I'm doubting
Yeah,
my abilities because
yeah,
I don't like it. I put it off, you know.
yeah,
I mean, you could just think of all of those things. If you don't really like something, that's not the first thing that you're going to go do.
yeah,
And it's going to get put off and it's going to get
yeah,
put off.
yeah,
And what you don't know, then like I don't know if anything about me, but I can't remember what I did 6 months ago,
yeah,
let alone like
yeah.
why did I enter that way? Or where
And
did that receipt go?
And I have to tell you that putting it off because it's stressful, right?
Mhm.
And when we're business owners, we're trying to pick the hat that we want to wear.
Mhm.
And we always choose the one, not necessarily that gives us less stress, but we choose the one that we know that's the hat we wear. And
Mhm.
we don't put on our bookkeeper hat because like if you were good at bookkeeping, you would be a bookkeeper, right? You're good at your widget and you're not so great at the
Yeah.
bookkeeping. So we tend to put that off. But I have to tell you, if I was to give you the number one thing that business owners do that cause them to pay more taxes, it's exactly that, right? Like
Mhm.
you just, oh, I don't want to do it. And then you wait till the end. But by the time you did it, let's say you wait for tax season to fix
Yeah.
it. You don't have 1 month of mistakes. You have 12 months of mistakes now.
Mhm.
So every time it gets just a little bit worse and a little bit worse. And then you come to the end of the year and your tax person says, like, oh, do you have blank, whatever blank might be? And you're like, no, I don't have that. And how are you going to recover six
Yeah.
months ago that
Right.
receipt or whatever?
Yeah.
How are you going to recover that? So they really have to kind of push your priority. And I know it's painful. I get
It
it.
is.
I get it so much. But if you push your priority just to be like, I just need to tackle this, which is why we do the video series, because we've
Mhm.
got your data right in front of us. We're shooting your video with your stuff, and we're giving
Mhm.
you, like, we take a look and then we give you just do this one thing. That's it. I just want you to do this. You're going to save my
Mhm.
fees. Just
Mhm.
do this one thing. And it kind of, if you can find somebody to work with, like your person, it's not
Yeah.
hard to do that.
Right.
But you yeah, like it just reduces the stress just a little bit because someone's got your back,
Right,
right?
right. And that builds that trust,
Yeah,
with somebody because you really
yeah,
need to have a good working relationship with an accountant or a book person
we
because
so do.
there's so many ins and outs with it and they're like, oh,
Hmm.
I don't want them to know too much of my business. It's like, yeah, but they're trying to help you save your
Yeah,
business or make it less stressful or at least save you some money. So,
yeah. Yeah, your best person, like as a business owner, you're going to have to make the decision about who's
mhm,
going to do your taxes, right? I mean, ultimately, and you might even do them yourself, which I always say is a bad idea if you're a
yeah.
business owner. But people will do that. But you have to create that relationship and that piece where you have somebody who asks questions, who gives you advice, who talks to you and wants to know about your life. Those are super important for
Mhm.
you to gel with them because the end result when they understand your business and your situation, they're going to do a better job in the end,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, I know some really super intimate details about my clients about their life, and
Mhm.
and it's funny because when they tell me, I'm like, wait a second, either I'm not going to pressure them quite as much, I'm sensitive to what's going on in their world,
Right.
or I really need to get them to a place where they're doing better. So that relationship, you should never just drop them off with an office that you walk through the door, drop your stuff and pick it up. I mean, you want to have that relationship.
Right, right. That's for like a W-2 here, it's just like if you're just working for somebody and it's really
Yeah,
simple, but business owners
yeah,
really need, a more intimate relationship with their bookkeeper accountant
thousand
because
percent.
I also think that and maybe I'm just thinking this is just like the more like you would know about your client, the more questions that might pop up or like, oh, well, connecting the dots between some things that they're doing that you're not seeing on the paper side or on the
Yeah.
money side.
Always, excuse me, and it's our job to think for our clients in that regards. And I do think that a lot of clients don't, when you talked about like what brings people, like what do they think they're getting?
Mhm.
And I do think that a lot of clients come and they're like, I just want somebody to do my taxes and I'm confused and I don't understand. But that relationship that you have where you are putting the weight of not the weight of the work. You can put the weight of the work, it's expensive though, but where you're putting the weight of understanding your situation and the difference between the drywaller and the massage therapist,
Mhm.
that's a super important relationship to have with your accounting person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's just, when sometimes people think that, oh my gosh, it's too expensive. Like whether it is a system, whether it is, hiring a bookkeeper, accountant, but
Yeah.
what do you say or what's your experience with that? People are like, oh, it's just
Oh,
too expensive.
oh, I love this. I love this. Let's highlight this when your audience is listening to this. Okay. So you go to your tax person, it's painful. You get there, you send in your taxes, why am I on my God? All that stuff, right?
Yeah.
You don't like tax season. Great. So you get there. So your accountant says, or your tax person says, here's your taxes. You owe $5,000. Well, what's your reaction? Oh,
Oh, wow.
really? Ugh, crap. But then you go pay it, right?
Right.
Okay. Scenario number two. You don't like tax season, you go to your tax person, you give them their stuff, you pay their taxes, and they say, here's your taxes. You owe $2,000. What's your reaction? Crap. And you pay it. It's exactly the same reaction. The problem is you don't know if it's right. Is 2,000 right or is 5,000 right? You're
Mhm.
trusting that individual to have done the right things and asked the right questions. And sometimes they don't, right? And or you haven't done something. The number one thing that really affects people's taxes is taxpayer behavior. And lots of times if you don't have it, like they're not correcting that. but
Mhm.
you don't know the difference
Yeah.
between $2,000 and $5,000 in every relationship. And I've never seen an exception. You have three people involved in your taxes. You have the business owner, you have the bookkeeper, and you have the tax person. That bookkeeper is going to be one of three people. It's going to be you, a third party you hire, or it's going to be your tax person. It is not the tax person's job to do your books
Mhm.
at all. And if you're relying on them to do your books, you may not get the set of books or numbers that you wanted. And lots of people do it themselves. So then they are the bookkeeper, but somebody has to be that bookkeeper in the middle. You
Mhm.
have to. And it is expensive if you go to the third party, right? But the difference between a $2,000 bill and a $5,000 tax bill is often your bookkeeper. So
Wow.
whoever is, who
That.
doesn't matter who it is, can be you, can be a third party, it can be your tax person, but that person impacts the number on your tax return.
Why is that person the one that impacts the most?
So in my experience, and I love accountants, but
Mhm.
let's talk about the role difference
Right.
between what accountants usually do and what bookkeepers do. So accountant is rear view facing, right? So they're
Mhm.
always looking in the rear view mirror and saying, what did you do this year so we can look at your taxes?
Mhm.
And they also think you're the business owner. It is your responsibility to know what you need to do,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So you're bringing me your stuff, and I'm going to do your taxes based upon your stuff and your information. Bookkeepers are different. A bookkeeper's role is, okay, what are we doing here? Like, let's regroup. I got all your paper. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Right? What does this look like? And oh, just a sec, it's got to go to the accountant. Well, before it goes there, I know you need your cell phone bill. And what about your home expenses? And I don't have enough fuel bills here. So a bookkeeper is like in the trenches with you. You
Mhm.
think about it. If you're going to be your own bookkeeper, you're in the trenches with
Yep. Yep.
yourself, right? So third party bookkeepers are more kind of in I think the mindset is like, okay, I want to do a good job. What am I doing? So we tend, when we're in bookkeeping mode, we tend to look for things that you didn't give us,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Where as an accountant, they're like, okay, you've done your job,
Yep.
right? Remember, rear view facing,
Yep.
done your job. You've given me your stuff. I'm going to take your stuff and I'm going to create a tax return from it.
Mhm.
And they're just very different. It's all numbers, but the role that we play
Mhm.
is super different with every client. So bookkeepers are forward facing. What do I have? They're here, they're present, they're in the car with you, they're
Yep.
driving, where are we
Yep.
going?
Yep. Where
You
are we
know, an accountant.
going? Why are we doing this?
Yep,
Like,
exactly. And accountants are like, okay, tell me what you did with your year.
mhm.
And but it's usually not changeable because that's the journey you took
Yeah.
to get there.
Yeah.
There's not much you can do to change it. So
Yeah.
those are the big differences. Yes, it can be expensive or perceived as expensive, but the place where you save money is the bottom line in your tax
Mhm.
return.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
because what you give the accountant that's the information they're going off of. So if you
yeah,
don't have it all,
yeah,
that might be that $5,000 bill.
yep,
So like back, if you forget your cell phone bill and you forget something else, that could bring it down to that 2000.
yeah. And it's not just receipts, right? So let me give you an example of a massage therapist
Mhm.
because they are they're kind of a weird because they tend to be more self-employed in a lot of cases and they're trying to write things off and they inevitably don't record kilometers, like even something as
Mhm.
simple
Yeah.
as kilometers. Or, and kilometers can be one of your best write-offs on your vehicle,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Like track them. There's rules around how to do it, but track them. And so it's not just about your missing fuel receipts. It's about what kilometers did you track? And I tell people this, if you have a piece of paper in your hand, you traveled somewhere to get that piece of paper.
Yeah.
So your kilometers include every time you bought paper or you bought pens or you
Mhm.
met somebody at a coffee shop or you got the bill from your tax person or a lawyer or you went to go downtown to get a license somewhere,
Yeah.
like if you have a piece of paper in your hand, chances are really good you traveled. So it's really about those types of things. It's not just the fuel receipts, it's about the behavior, about the things that you do as
Mhm.
you go. So it's like, oh, I'm going to get my license, right? Which is a common one with massage therapists.
Yeah.
Did you track your kilometers from, to get
Yeah.
your license?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't. Can I do that? Absolutely, right? Of
Right.
course, it's business related.
Yes. Yes. And I think that is like a key like point because the mileage thing, the kilometers, like we're tracking where we go, the distances that we go. We don't often think about it, but that adds
Right?
up.
Right?
That
Right?
totally adds up. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a sneaky one. And but how to like, that's another system, it's just like creating a system of tracking those things.
Yeah.
Think about if we were, for working for, an employer that part of your job is travel. Well, they're definitely wanting to know. They probably have a system in place on, writing down the odometer reading and, the date and all
Yeah.
of that stuff. Like, is there I don't know, a simpler, how do you tell clients how to track that?
Technology has been life changing.
Yes.
Okay. So I use an app, and there's a couple of them out there that goes on my phone. But I also, here's a free one you can use. You
Yeah.
don't need to pay. If you go on your Google Maps and you turn on your timeline, it
Mhm.
will track everywhere you go. Now, some people don't want to be tracked on their phone, right? I don't care. I think if Google wants to watch me go to the nearest Starbucks and back home, like hats off to you. Yeah. But so I allow it to track me everywhere. And I tell you, it has saved my bacon more than just in write-offs. But it's like, where was I on this state or where did I travel? And when I do my kilometer logs, then and because I charge customers back sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So when I have to go, I'm like, where was I on the 13th of April? Like, why
Yeah.
is this not in my calendar? And you can go back. But if you're ever questioned, then
Mhm.
use the technology. Have the app on your phone so you can just access it. You don't need to do anything. It tracks you. Or the free version is just turn on your Google timeline, right? And if you're ever asked, because that's the thing about kilometer tracking is you got to have some kind of proof. And if you're ever asked, you can be like, "Oh, yeah, rebuild it." I'll be honest. Maybe I shouldn't be quite this honest, but are we being recorded? Yes. Okay. This one I'll actually go on record. I still guess at the end of the year. That's what most people do, and so do I. But I know because I don't have the time to be going in an app and doing the whole thing and recording.
Mhm.
But I know, and I've been doing this a long time, I have a good gut feel. If I put down 10,000 kilometers on my vehicle, 6,000 of them are going to be for business. But if I am ever asked, I am bulletproof because I have the app,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So I know you're not supposed to guess and you're supposed to have good logs, but you know what? Business owners are busy. So sometimes
Yeah.
if you're going to be a guessing person, just make sure you have the backup to back you up.
Right. 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 And oftentimes we're not overshooting it. We're probably under
No,
it.
undershooting it. You're so
We
right.
are underdoing it
Yeah.
because we forget all of those different things. So, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. This has been so great. Is there like, where do people find out? Like, you have something that they could go to like check out what you're doing, some of your, maybe even some video programs. I'm not sure what you're offering. So,
Yeah. So my site is cbooks.ca and I am Canadian, right? So you'll see lots of stuff for the Canada Revenue, but I can tell you that the bookkeeping and the owner behavior stuff is exactly the same.
Mhm.
Not exactly, I'm sure, but the process behind bookkeeping comes from business owner behavior and understanding the basics. And the difference is between countries and about that tax return it's not a make or break. You still have to do the receipts and track your client, like all of those things.
Yeah.
So my website is cbooks.ca, so stand for like C the letter C, books.ca. And there's a couple of courses on there that people are welcome. But I did say I was an old dog and I have joined the YouTube thing. We do have an exclusive Facebook group. It is called Learn Bookkeeping Canada is the name of it. There's, I don't know, 1,500 or 2,000 members in there and people ask questions. But again, it's really not about
Yeah.
Canada rules, right? I mean, I just happen to be in Canada. It's really about behavior. You can certainly ask questions in there. And then finally, I just started a YouTube channel right now. It's just got a few Canada Revenue Agency things, which is not overly interesting to people, but up and coming.
Mhm.
We do have a whole series planned for this summer to launch. And that YouTube channel is also called Learn Bookkeeping Canada. So
Awesome.
that's more going to be more about the owner behavior. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, you're right, because we all have to get to the same place, like doing
Yeah.
our taxes, and the behaviors behind that, we all have to track things. We all have to list things. How we approach it, whether we are, putting things off or we're on top of it, we all can learn like little tidbits of our own behaviors. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a solution for me. This is a problem for me. This is how I could do it. I like, okay, I can go put on Google timeline or whatever and have
Yeah.
it back on me. I was like, okay, that might save me some, like that's good. Like those are like those little tips and trips that, I just love listeners just to catch on to because it's like, it's okay. You're in Canada. All right. If we have Canadian business going on there, like though you can help with those specifics on that, but the behavior in general is going to be
That's right.
universal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I would say, like I have a course up there, and I'll tell you, 98% of that is going to apply
oh,
to anybody because
yeah.
it really is, if you can get the strategy behind
Mhm.
how you write things off, like your behavior, the rest is going to take care of
Oh,
itself.
yeah. Yeah.
And the amount of stress reduction, I think I hear all the time when people get into a mojo and they start using the technology,
Mhm.
I hear all the time, oh my gosh, this is so much better. Like what relief, you hear
Yep.
those types of words.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know what? Let's face it, if we're a business owner, anything, like there's tons of stuff.
Right.
You don't need to be stressed out over your books,
No.
right?
No.
Yeah, the solutions are actually little tiny things
Yeah.
make life a little bit
Yeah.
better.
That is so
Yeah.
awesome. Lynn, it has been such a pleasure talking with you. I
Oh,
mean,
thank you.
like,
Yeah.
sometimes it's just like, how is bookkeeping conversations gonna go, right? Like,
Right?
and I'm like, oh no, we need this on here because we need to track something. We gotta shift our
Yeah.
mindset that bookkeeping is like, oh, it's
Yeah.
fine. And we can reduce the stress with it so it won't feel so yucky.
Yeah. And it's guaranteed if you even were to change three habits, I
Yeah,
guarantee you it would put more money in your pocket and less money in someone else's pocket,
right,
right? Like one of
right.
the big, you know.
Yes.
And so just three habits and it just, yeah, why not? Put it in your pocket. Like why give it away?
Why give it away? That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. As we wrap up today, Lynn, is there anything that you want to leave the listeners with, whether it's a thought or a quote or something that we really didn't touch on that you're like, oh, I really need to share this?
Uh, I do actually. I can th one of the things that I think is most important for business owners. This is probably not a bookkeeping comment, but this is a business owner comment. And I learned this from a business coach many, many years ago. And I remember looking at him with one eyebrow raised, thinking that's just crazy, but it was life changing. And that was book yourself CEO time, right? Whether you book yourself 4 hours a month, 4 hours a week, whatever your business requires, being able, and it's not negotiable. You are booking that time. When you are able to step back and say, I'm the CEO of my own conglomerate, right?
Hmm.
What decisions do I need to make? And usually bookkeeping does come into that time, right? Like, okay, what's my finances? And you're looking at your numbers.
Hmm.
But I definitely would say when I look at clients of mine that are struggling, they never do CEO time. They are running, they're doing their whatever,
Hmm.
their shtick
Hmm.
happens to be, and they're just not taking that time. And when you can stop for a moment
Hmm.
and say, am I making money? Right? Is my little company making money? What do I need to do better? And you can challenge yourself with personal growth. I
Hmm.
watch little businesses. I tell people all the time, and it becomes life changing. And I always know the day they're doing it because inevitably they call me. But it is it's life changing for them. And I was no different. On the front page of my website, which is the C-Books, you'll see there's a video of me. It is 100% a true story. And it talks about my journey, and it's it's probably
Hmm.
15 years old now, but
Hmm.
so many businesses are there. It's 100% true.
Yeah.
And when we can just stop and look, life changing.
Oh, so really just taking a time, CEO time is taking a breather from the day to day
Yeah,
and kind of just looking at the bigger picture of like, wow, I am the owner of this. Like,
yeah,
this is my business.
yep,
But then what do I need to make sure this business
yeah,
keeps thriving? And
yeah,
and then taking a look at that.
yeah. Look at your priorities, look what's going on, look at your finances. and even right down to, I mean, you do it regularly, but if you've never done it before, stop and say, if you're not making money, stop and say,
Mhm.
is this even the right choice for me?
Yeah.
Right. And just like you are at the top and you are looking down at your business and try to do it. If you had to give advice to your best friend who owned that business, take yourself out of it. And what advice would you give them?
Yeah.
And what would you tell them to look at? You'd tell them to look at their finances, their process, right? And
Yeah.
just taking that time, 4 hours a day, or 4 hours, sorry, not a day, that would be extreme. 4 hours a month, 4 hours a week,
Right.
whatever time you have, 4 hours a quarter, just don't forget to do it. It'll
Yeah.
change your life, guaranteed.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Because we do need to look at it and we need to take the emotional piece out of it.
Yes.
That's what I heard. I'm like, because
Hmm.
we have to disengage from that emotional piece. And we
Hmm.
get so tied into it. But like giving that advice, like if you had your best friend was in this position and owned this business and they came to you, like you would give them, look at your finances, where
Yeah.
all of that. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Awesome.
for sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lynn, for
My
joining us today.
pleasure.
This has been a great conversation, energetic as you are, and so passionate. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you.